Now, I have never once in my entire life played Escape from Tarkov. It's never interested me, and I've never seen the appeal of the extraction shooter genre. However, tons of people like it. Tons of people believe Escape from Tarkov is a fantastic game, and I mean, I don't blame them. It definitely has appeal to a hardcore shooter fan base, but it's just not for me. However, the drama that Escape from Tarkov has found itself in is truly something out of a book. It is a book 101 of how not to run your company. A book 101 of how to lose your entire player base in a point 0.3 second time span. I have to say that this is one of the most disappointing gaming stories of this year, maybe of ever. The gaming company behind Escape from Tarkov must have balls of steel because they are trying to make players who have already paid $100, I believe, for all free DLC. They want them to pay an extra $250 for a new game mode. They were promised free DLC and then they call it a new feature. That is the scummiest thing you can do. A blatant DLC that they decided to call a feature so that way they didn't have to give it to people for free. It is not a good way to run your company. It's not a good way to keep your player base, and it's just an overall terrible thing to do. Did they do it on accident? No. They knew exactly what they were doing and they knew exactly why they were doing it. They wanted to encourage you to spend an extra $250. Well, here is the tweet that they made saying basically they didn't do anything wrong. So here you can see their tweet where it says PvE mode is a unique feature. Now they purposefully did that because if they called it a DLC, they would have had to have given it to the people that already paid for the free DLC. Now I'm going to be quite harsh here and go on a bit of a rant, but if you stick through it, I appreciate it and I have some pretty nice things to say at the end. Ultimately, I'm kind of sick of talking about businesses that are fucking brain dead. It honestly pisses me off to see game developers ruin their entire reputation for such a silly fucking reason. You're gaining $100, but you're losing like $100,000 in just support in general. Like you lose the goodwill of your fan base for what? Like what did you gain by doing this? You weren't that down bad for money that you had to do this. And even if you were that down bad, you could have literally just not put the feature in there and your people still would have bought it. Like, you didn't have to do it this way. If anything, it shows how out of touch some of these game developers are because Escape from Tarkov fans would have spent that $250 just because. They are insanely loyal to Escape from Tarkov. It's actually crazy how loyal they are. And yet the developer seemingly has no loyalty towards their consumer, which doesn't surprise me. Now, on a second topic outside of that, I want to talk about some other game developers to kind of compare. The closest comparison I can give you to this is probably Ubisoft and the Star Wars Outlaws game. They're locking one mission behind a paywall or something, and people are absolutely livid with this. But who's actually surprised? That game is going to be a colossal disaster for Ubisoft, and I'm not going to feel bad. Ubisoft has been digging a grave for themselves for decades now, and they're just trying to put a casket on the top of it already. Ultimately, Star Wars Outlaws is kind of the, I think, last ride for Ubisoft. If it's not a success, they're going to sell their company or they're going to file for bankruptcy. There's no way they have money left. I've been playing R6 and Overwatch lately, as well as Call of Duty, and you can tell between those three games which game has money behind it. Ubisoft has abandoned R6 with any true meaning and passion for quite a few years, even though it feels like that is their only money maker as of late. It's the only game that's been live service long enough for it to mean anything, despite Ubisoft releasing non-stop like live service titles. Even X Defiant has been an absolute disaster for them. And it's a colossal disaster, but it's just, this is why you don't trust gaming companies, is my point. I mean, ultimately, you can't trust a gaming company as far as you can throw them, and it's just been an embarrassment for a lot of these guys. I feel like the Watcher news, which is unrelated to this, but the Watcher news is important comparison. Because in the past few weeks, we've had Ubisoft, The Watcher, and the Escape from Tarkov developers all get absolutely buried by the public for bad business moves and trying to cash in for an extra penny. And it's just, at what end do corporations realize that you can't push a consumer past their breaking point, especially in a bad financial situation for the country? The economics don't make much sense to continue trying to milk this, and that yet they keep trying to. If you're gonna milk the consumers at this point, you gotta give them something in return so that way they don't feel like they're getting scammed. But you're not giving them anything in return. You're giving them a shitty product in return for their $250 or whatever. So it really doesn't make sense. I feel like corporations have gotten away with so much shit in the gaming industry that they've just gotten such a big head for everything. They feel untouchable, so to speak, and it's honestly pathetic to see how the gaming industry has developed. The last point I wanted to talk on here is just, why do people keep trusting these gaming developers with so much money? I haven't spent actually $70 or a full priced game in general in quite some time. I always buy them on a discount, or I always just don't buy them, or get them through Game Pass. Buying new games is a 50-50 toss up between you wasting $70 and you getting a blockbuster success. It's just not worth your time to continue gambling on pre orders or actually buying the game after launch. Just wait for it to hit a subscription service like Game Pass or PS Plus or whatever the fuck, or just wait for it to get on a discount. That is my last piece of advice for anybody looking to buy new games. Never ever buy new games full price. No AAA game that is being made right now is worth $70. No AAA game being made right now is worth $70, $60, not even $50. So there's my rant on the gaming industry and how I feel like it's an absolute shit show. Hope you enjoyed. If you didn't, feel free to smash that dislike button. If you really enjoy my content, please hit that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I've been very ill for the past few days, and yeah, I'm gonna go rest. So have a good rest of your day, folks, and I'm the fuck out.